Hello, and welcome to Outside the Zeitgeist, an opinion podcast presented by Mook Media. Please be aware that the opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the host platform. Outside the Zeitgeist is funded by people like you, for some reason. And now, here are your hosts, Greg and Charles.
All right, welcome to Outside the Zeitgeist, episode 9. Ooh.
Oh my god, we got to 9.
Cheers, Greg.
Cheers, Charles.
You know something, Greg? I just had a realization.
What is that?
I'm not really fond of getting drunk anymore.
What?
I know. Oh well, but
I hear it happens with age.
But cheers anyways. I am your resident misanthrope, Charles.
I'm your resident skeptic, Greg. And don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and most importantly, dislike the video so you can express that the feeling is mutual.
All right, so let's weigh in on the nightmare fuel that has been going on. And apparently, just a short while ago, there was a shooting over at a FedEx building in Indianapolis.
Very, very interesting.
You know, you're starting to hear about these shootings more and more in the workplace now. I guess all the mass shooters have graduated high school. And they found instead of being in shitty high schools, they're now in shitty jobs to shoot up, you know.
Going postal eventually had to evolve from the USPS to FedEx.
Going postal privatized. But, so, of course, this is all going to be used for all the anti-gun bullshit. And along with the other thing that happened last night in Chicago with Adam Toledo being shot. And, you know...
All the buildings y'all are crying about for burning down, them buildings got life insurance, everything gonna be back.
So, it's all, and you know, you're gonna hear more of the defund the police, blah blah blah. You know,
It's not really a solution.
How about? I mean, not that I really care because I like the fact that people are being stupid, but how about, you know, if you were an intelligent person, I would say, you know, defund the politicians, defund the corporations, defund the banks, you know, but no, nobody really wants to do that. We want to blame guns for everything and defund the police. And so, you know, I watched the officer footage of the Adam Toledo shooting. And again, it was just another instance where the shooting looked justified. From everything that I saw, it looked justified. There's no way you can tell as soon as somebody's turning around, even if he's a kid, dark alley, that even though you saw him throw something, that it's still unarmed. You just can't tell.
Well, funny thing you should mention the footage, because I believe CBS actually cropped out the footage of the gun with the excuse that they needed to do that so it would be the right size for mobile phones. I mean, you can't make shit like this up. And
and also yesterday I was talking to people about the Ashley Babbitt shooting, you know, when people raided the Citadel. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, well, that's a justified shooting too, and people are calling me a bootlicker. I'm like, yeah, right, like I give a fucking, you fucking red mag or blue magatards and all your fucking bullshit. There's another situation. I watched the footage. But in this case, it was a Secret Service guy, and he was protecting the staff, and these people were smashing down the door, and people saw a gun. He was barking orders to get away. Many people were backing away, but he was taking cover in a door frame. He had a clean shot in her, saw her, you know, I'm pretty sure he only saw her, and that he couldn't see everybody else backing away, and she was climbing in, and, you know, fuck, if I had to defend people, I would have shot it too, you know.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that of everything that happened during that entire event, that there was only as few deaths as there were. And the more I think about it, it just seems to be the narrative is we will push it to be as violent as we possibly can so that way we can put it in the forefront of people's minds. But in reality, it really wasn't that bad of a situation by comparison to a number of riots that did occur during the 2020 and 2021 time period year.
To be honest, I'm not surprised that there was very little violence in that, because as much as these people were fucking stupid, they were also desperate, and many of them were just trying to go through paperwork looking for reasons to put people in jail. I mean, you saw that in a lot of video. It's not like the oh, sorry to cut you off, Greg, but it's not like the, you know, in Minneapolis or whatever the fuck over the last weekend or whatever, where it's like, oh hey, somebody got shot, let's go burn down a GameStop because that has no influence from corporations whatsoever.
Well, they thought they'd get all the stocks that the GameStop had.
Yeah, you know.
Make a quick buck by getting stock out of the store itself.
Mm-hmm. What were you gonna say though?
Well, I was gonna say it's unimportant anyways. Let's move on.
All right, next nightmare fuel.
Next nightmare fuel is the bill proposed by Nadler to get 4 justices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is something that people had been talking about
all of
last year.
We said it on the last podcast.
We did. But this is something I believe was being talked about during the last year. It's just if Biden gets in, they're gonna push to try and get more justices, more people onto the Supreme Court, and it's a bad move in my opinion. It doesn't really do much. The whole entire purpose of it seems to be we just want to take it from being conservative leaning and make it Democrat leaning. And I mean it like that literally because I don't consider a conservative to be Republican. But I do consider any of the nominees that they would push forward to be part of the Democrat Party.
Now, one thing, they promised, we weren't going to do that. And of course, what was it? Yesterday morning, Biden seized property along the Texas border using eminent domain laws after he said, it wasn't going to continue building the wall. But, so, first off, you thought what was happening before in the Supreme Court was bad. Well, just imagine Citizens United combined with Jacobson if this happens. And Jacobson's the one where the case that I couldn't remember last time where it was a case where this, I think it was a woman, and she was basically forced to be sterilized because she was deemed unacceptable to have be able to bear children or something like that. And
when was this?
This was back in like the 20s or 30s.
Wow.
Yeah, this was before like you had things like strict scrutiny and intermediate scrutiny and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the Supreme Court decision that also basically gives authority to, in some people's minds, to like force vaccinations on people or force medications on people in general. So now keep in mind that Citizens United, for whatever good or bad, because a lot of people don't like it, but unfortunately there are some benefits to it. That happened under what was considered a liberal Supreme Court, and I do have to agree with Nick Rekieta on this one. He was saying that once you get to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really seem to be. I mean, if you look the way the justices vote and they speak their minds and so forth, yeah, you may find a little bit of that whole liberal conservative bullshit, but there is a lot of different philosophies on how they approach law and how they approach the court system in general. Like the latest one, what the fuck's her name? Her whole thing was that she didn't like precedent, and that is something Amy Coney Barrett, yeah. So that is something that is an important view, because if we only operate on what people have done before, then we're never going to make any progress.
So I've always been under the opinion, maybe this is I'm mistaken, but I believed that the Supreme Court was supposed to be, as with any judge, a neutral entity, and that their decisions were to be based on how laws are written, and they interpret laws and whenever the need to interpret them comes up. And they're not typically, I don't think they see as many cases as lower courts do.
No, they pick and choose what they hear. And if you want to expand the Supreme Court, then it may be a good idea to have multiple different courts, because there's so much that happens that the population has grown so much that just having one Supreme Court might not be the
Another interesting thing with the Supreme Court, which has always astounded me, is this idea that decades later, a new group of Supreme Court, even if it retained any person of the previous Supreme Court, could go back and retroactively change how the votes fell on a decision. It doesn't make any sense to me. That would mean that they would have to re-examine the case in some capacity, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's part of what they do, but The reality of that is I can't agree with you there because
Wait,
here's 2 points. One, we all make mistakes and we're wrong.
sure.
And two, things change, situations change, and you're always looking for that fine line where it doesn't exist.
That's not my. That's not my. What I'm saying. Really.
Okay, well, what
What
are you
I'm
saying?
saying is the idea that any one Supreme Court justice being added back in to fill the vacancy
Mm-hmm.
would allow them to immediately upchange a vote
Right.
from a nay to a yay or a yay to a nay or anything
Right.
of that nature would be there solely on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How would we define whose votes applied to which Supreme Court justice? Do we say, okay, these 3 nays versus this 6 yays are applied to this group of justices and those 6 are those?
Mm-hmm.
The way it's presented in the news, or how anybody would have you believe, at least that's how it seems to me, is that someone could come in and then suddenly they could make a sweeping change that would have a huge impact on individuals.
Yeah, it's not that easy. I mean, like right now, you're having the case go up through the courts that is actually challenging Roe versus Wade.
Okay.
And there have been arguments that for whatever benefit there is from the Roe versus Wade decision, that it doesn't, that the constitutional arguments that were used to come to that decision are not necessarily valid, which is a fair argument, I think. I mean, it's. I haven't really looked at it, but I haven't looked at it too closely, but the arguments that have been made to say that, I mean, they seem, and at the very least, reasonable.
Well, I would love to expound more on the Roe versus Wade topic, but that is a entire episode's worth of conversation.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to a different topic.
You like Burger King?
I did.
Oh, I was gonna say let's go to Burger King right now and just sit down in there and eat together. Oh no, we can't, because Burger King decided that you need to show your IDs and that you all live together in order to eat together. Doesn't matter if you arrived in the same car or anything. That has nothing to do with anything.
There goes the dream of us eating a burger together
Yeah.
at a Burger King.
They-
Not that I would go there.
Keep in mind, this is the same company that told people to throw milkshakes on other people.
And for women to get back in the kitchen.
I have a funny Burger King story.
Please.
And you'll love this because you
Elaborate.
because it involves Pokemon.
Oh, please.
You remember when Burger King first came out with those Pokemon toys?
Oh, yes. People went crazy for them.
Oh yeah. So I'm sitting there in line with my friend, and I just wanted some food, and I was like, maybe I'll get the kids meal, see what the Pokemon toys are. My friend, he knows me and how much of a giant asshole I like to be.
Sure.
He bets me $1 that because the line was starting
Excuse
to. The line was starting to grow behind us, and it was starting to go out the door. He's like, he goes, "You see all these people here?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I bet you $1. You don't have the nuts to piss them all off." I was like, "Really? Okay, I'll take that bet."
Oh, I know what this bet is immediately. I know what this bet is.
So, get up to the register. I look in my wallet. 30 kids meals, please. All burgers. And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "You heard me. 30 kids meals." So it took them like a good 30 minutes. Meanwhile, the line's getting longer and longer. People were looking
This is
at me
great.
like they wanted to kill me.
This is great.
Got all the Pokemon toys. Most of them were Charmanders.
Charizards.
Yeah, was it Charmander? No, I thought it was Charmanders.
Maybe there were. I can't
No, it was
remember.
Charmander with a little light up tail.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was Charmander.
Yeah, I think I got a Pikachu there and some, But yeah, all the people wanted to kill me. Had a fun time carrying them all to the car. I was like, "Fuck the drinks, just give me like 2 extra large drinks, sodas and so forth." Get to the car, I'm like, "Give me my fucking $1, bitch."
Unless, in heavier news, more interesting as far as a government standpoint, I would say. The UK, there has recently been admission by people in the UK that 23% of all deaths of last year were completely false. Close to a quarter of all the deaths. And in reply, Boris Johnson says, "We're still not doing anything about these lockdowns. We're keeping them in place.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, slave, and get back to work."
And Yeah, and there's another thing that goes along with that, right? With a famous certain uh, Latina Hitler.
Oh yes, good old AOC. So while deaths are technically reduced in the UK, and apparently in America we want to jump up the death rate because AOC has gotten with Chuck Schumer, and they are advocating for people, at least in New York, to go to their hospitals or doctors who gave them the death certificates and get them to add back on to the death certificate the fact that the person may have died of COVID when it wasn't accurately being reported as COVID. And the whole reasoning for this has to do with, you guessed it, money. So anybody who does this apparently can try and get $9,500 from FEMA to cover the cost of the funeral, and then there is more money, some larger number of money that's associated with this. I believe who really makes the money is the hospitals, because the hospitals have been making money off of COVID cases and COVID deaths that they've been reporting for the entire year, which is why numbers are inflated as much as they are.
I have a question. Does this officially make it a Ponzi scheme now because the grifter is telling other people how to grift?
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's a complete Ponzi scheme.
I mean, oh yes, go have the hospital fill out false information so that you can get $10,000. Yeah, that's really good advice to give people.
Hold up. I'm just going to look this up right now on Google, okay? Because this is important to me. Because if the UK had 23%, or maybe even more than that, but at least 23% excess deaths were being reported, and I go to COVID-19 on Google, and I type it in, and then I look at statistics, well, they're telling me if I go to UK, right? If I go to the UK,
Well, here, let me see if I can punch it up over here.
I got it, man.
You know, show it on your phone.
Sure. United Kingdom, and I don't know if they've even changed any of this information, because in my opinion, you typically do not change this information after they've put it out there, because they want to use it to justify the fact that they justified the bogus lockdowns to begin with. So it's going to be really hard to see on my phone. Why don't you see if you can pull it up?
I'm
looking at the UK, and their total deaths all time is 25,000.
I don't know why it's not letting me change.
Okay, 25,000. That means 5,000 deaths are completely bogus. Almost. 5,000 deaths are completely bogus. Almost.
There we go.
Okay. So, and just imagine if the United States is nearly as bad as UK in that opinion, in that area. Oh no! You know, I got stuck on a different area.
All right, well, here we go. I punched it up over here.
I got stuck on a different area. I was looking at. That did sound wrong. I was looking at New Jersey because apparently.
Well, here we go. I got it up on the screen.
127K. So 25,000 deaths. 25,000 deaths are completely off.
There we go. 120.
There we go. Look at that. So 25,000 deaths are completely off. So that means the total death rate was about 100,000 plus to 4,000,000.38. The United States has close to what, 500,000?
I don't even pay attention because I know it's all fucking
these
horseshit.
crazy numbers. That means an entire 100,000 or more deaths are not actually almost on the. I can't guarantee any of this is accurate information, but there was a case. There was a thing that came out in UK and said that almost a quarter of it was completely false because they were attributing influenza cases towards it. And
I mean,
what did they not report last year? Basically, flu deaths.
Yeah.
Of any kind. It's.
You know what?
What a grift.
At this point,
What a scam.
At this point, you know, I'm just saying, give me fucking COVID. I'll just get over it and be fine, and I don't give a shit.
I'm sure you already got it, man.
Yeah, I probably already got it. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gotten sick in almost 8. Well, I haven't gotten sick in 7 years.
In other COVID-related news, the scam is still going forward because Pfizer is advocating the fact that we will need a booster shot in 12 months or 6 months. They can't really determine 6 to 12 months. Plus, we'll need it in 2023 and 2024. And there, once again, we now have the new flu shot. Except it's the COVID shot.
Remember last episode with my news from the future?
Yes.
Speaking of getting the shot, apparently St. Vincent Island has a volcano on it that's erupting. And they're not going to let people off unless they get the doom spell.
This is just like really seriously. People think about this.
No, they're not going to think about it. It's fucking, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? And it goes back before, like before, everybody's still divided on left, right bullshit. And again, 150 million people voted for stuff to be the same, but it's left and wrong and right and wrong.
I still question whether
you know what?
voted.
You can't have marching orders without there being a left or a right, and a left and a right, left, right, left, right. Left, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what I'm fighting for. 5, 6, 7, 8. I just want to kill it. Feels great,
Other news related to COVID also. A study from Israel found that out of 800 total people, I believe, 400 people with the vaccine and 400 people without the vaccine, if you got the Pfizer vaccine, I mention this because Pfizer is in the news trying to put down all the other vaccine companies. They're trying to put them all down, so we only buy from Pfizer. Wonder why that is. If you got the Pfizer vaccine, you're 8 times more likely to get infected by the African variant of COVID. Now, this is a very small study, 400 people who did not get the vaccine versus 400 people that did get the vaccine. But Pfizer would have you believe that you are completely safe from all of the viruses, or at the very least, they have a South African variant.
I really just think Pfizer just, really believes in their product.
Oh, yeah. I really believe in that shitty furniture at my store, too. It's going to look real nice.
You working in IKEA?
No. No.
Oh, Walmart. Target?
There's a lot of these places that sell this shitty furniture. And they get you to pay too much money for it, too.
I know, right? So, if you haven't heard, Project Veritas.
Great stuff.
Get people get those thirsty boys to spill out information. That's a classic trick that works all the time. Set them up on a Tinder date, bring a little hidden camera, and let them spill the beans. So, I mean, this is nothing new, right? CNN guys saying, oh, it's propaganda, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and again, 150 million people voted they wanted things to stay the same. Nothing changed. Time magazine came out and said, hey, we've been manipulating the news. Now, and people did nothing. Now this Veritas thing, hey, we're manipulating the news. People are still going to do nothing. Why? Because people are fucking lazy fucks.
But they're not paying attention.
They don't give a shit. It's all about that
but
fucking
the interesting
stupid
thing
bullshit.
about the whole Veritas thing is, I love James O'Keefe's line. We just film people with their lips moving and show it to you. And the best part about this is that they got someone to admit all of these things. Oh, we put the numbers up just so that you would be fearful. And I was hoping sometimes that the numbers would be bigger so that way it could justify what we were saying and stuff of that nature. It's like, listen to these people. What are they saying? What are they actually advocating for?
And
how
people
dare they?
aren't going to do it. Facebook and Twitter just banned James O'Keefe.
Yep.
And I don't know why.
They can't justify why.
No, but I know they can't justify. I don't know why they do with the banning and the censorship anymore. The overlords have won. It doesn't fucking matter. You can put this show and I'll fucking explain. I'll give you a scientific test that you can do to show you that the masks don't work about spreading a virus, and it'll be 100% repeatable all the time. Nobody will fucking do it. You can put this video, fucking YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. They can put this video front and center on everybody. They'll watch it. They'll watch the scientific experiment, and they'll say, oh, that's nice, but fuck this guy.
They don't care anymore.
They don't
care. If it
care.
doesn't come from a source that they trust, they're not even going to look into it.
It's not even that.
It's like people who had a choice a long time ago between having all them nice things or freedom. Of course, they chose comfort.
Another interesting news regarding Facebook. Apparently, if you talk about the founder of BLM, or at least one of the founders of BLM, who is currently buying many expensive houses, 4 from what I hear, one of them over 1.6 million or 1.4 million or some amount of money I will not see for quite some time in my life, in a solid sum, I would say. Because I've probably gotten that much money over a number of years, but just not as a lump sum, right? Bought all these houses. I question how she got the money, why she's being paid as much money as she is if she's the founder of BLM. It just seems disingenuous, and talking about it in any way, shape, or form on Facebook is apparently against their guidelines.
Especially if you're a black reporter.
Oh, yes. And you come from any reporting outlet that is not on the left side of the leanings is just talking about
The quote left, right?
Yes.
Because that's the thing I say, like I was saying last episode. All this fucking bullshit, liberal, conservative, left, right, whatever.
Labels are labels. They don't mean anything until we define what the labels actually mean.
It's not even that. I mean, use fucking plain speech. When I hear people using these words, I just, like I said, I just mentally check out. And for me, it's just like watching monkeys masturbate at the zoo at that point.
What's
It's
also
like,
funny...
for communism.
What's really funny about that is this entire thing with Facebook and or at least with the BLM founder, is that she's claiming, or other people are claiming, is that it's white supremacy to talk about it.
Especially if you're a black reporter.
Yes, it's. People don't make any sense to me, except that they want power.
But that's even if you can get on the internet, because a lot of the people that we're talking about the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
And the people running on the Citadel for the impeachment hearings, well, about a bunch of judges are banning those people from using the internet. Now, this is something that like hackers, they would be banned from having a computer and so forth. But you see it done with a lot of sexual predators and so forth. And again, you look at the world, and it's completely run by the internet. So cutting somebody off from the internet at this point, it's just a death sentence. Not like anybody gives a fuck, but
Perhaps. But I think that helps to lead into my topic of the day.
And what is your topic of the day, Greg?
My topic of the day is that I've come up with a theory that
Is it a theory or a hypothesis?
Oh, let's go with a hypothesis.
Okay.
It is a hypothesis that the internet is essentially a parallel world to real life itself. I don't mean it literally is a parallel world, but people behave as if it is a parallel world, and it feels like it's a completely separate plane from reality itself. And the major players are all of the big companies. We know them: Google, Amazon, Facebook, all that bullshit. But they are essentially, if we were to imagine it as a parallel Earth, they would be the big countries like the United States and Russia and UK and all those other ones that are really big. China. I didn't say that, did I?
Would you say what?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
They would be the big countries that are in charge and are making the decisions and laws that affect their various citizens.
Yeah, it used to be the internet was a place in some aspects it was a place for anonymity, right? Mm-hmm. Your access point, you still had to be tied to your identity, but other sites, you could just go there, be anonymous, shit posts. I got banned from a board that I helped, a message board that I helped build after 9/11 by posting a picture of people in hot air balloons next to the Twin Towers and saying Polish terrorists.
Now, I probably should be somewhat offended because my birthday is 9/11, but I really don't care.
Birthdays are stupid,
I find a lot of hilarious stuff that are very dark.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know me, I love doing all kinds of fucked up shit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, the internet, and like Reddit and 4chan, just place for people to go shit post. Well, we're not so much Reddit anymore because that's fucking.
Oh, it's become that's been taken over by.
That's just as censored as the other places, but.
So to me, it's a very interesting concept. So my hypothesis of these being a parallel world. So basically, every big company that has a website or a platform of sorts, they're essentially your giant countries, as I stated before. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, unlike in the real world where you must have an ID, so that way you can go from United States to overseas, a passport. You don't need that, except you do need that. You don't realize what your ID. Your ID is like your
IP address.
Yes. So your IP address acts as a sort of ID, but it doesn't really identify you as a person. It just identifies a location.
It identifies an access point.
Right. Is really interesting because what's intriguing to me is how different people behave, or at least a good portion of people, how they behave differently online than in real life. Because if I were to talk to you online, I'm sure you'd be a much more trolly, disgusting individual than you are in real life.
Greg, have you not been paying attention to however long we've known each other?
I've been paying attention, but I happen to believe that you might the way you behave might be slightly more.
But that's how it is with a lot of people, right? You know, what was that? Called them the what was it? The thumbpad mafia.
Sure.
You know, they go online. Oh, blah 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 blah. You know, and it's
Well, they behave how they want to behave, but they can't justify doing in real life.
yeah. Well, they're too scared because, you know, on the internet, perceived power, has more of an effect in some ways than in real life. Especially when that perceived power gets amplified by people just wanting to fuck over people, you know, like the Twitter and whatnot.
Well, recently I've been toying with this idea, and I've also been thinking about it in the fact that I think our worlds are merging. I think the parallel worlds are coming to a head.
Well, you see people talking about like a transhumanist agenda, right? Where this whole like merging of like the digital space and the physical space, and you have
Good old Ghost in the Shell.
yeah, or Lawnmower Man, right? Or fucking Elon Musk and the brain chips and you know all that bullshit. You know, Greg.
You didn't lose your train of thought, did you?
No, I just had like a really kind of pertinent other thought.
Which is?
You know, you think about like Musk and like Schmidt, Cuomo, Trump, Biden, Xi Jinping, the IMF, the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, the Kissingers, and all these people that just work together just to fuck over everybody's lives. And then I just think, you know, I remember when technology was something exciting to look forward to, and now every piece of technology you hear about is, oh my god, how the fuck is it going to be used to ruin me?
That's every single thing in general, man. That's not different. It's just the fact that you're applying it to
Oh yeah,
digital technology or things of that nature.
Yeah.
It's been like that for quite some time.
yeah, and I just had the thought. I'm like, oh my god, when did we get to that point?
Thousands and thousands of years ago, when the caveman discovered that he could create fire, he was like, "Oh, I can use fire. I can burn my enemy and take his woman."
I can light my farts.
Your caveman self did not get very far. He killed himself very quickly.
No, he just learned to live with a burnt asshole.
Okay. Well,
Take a shit like a real man.
It's really interesting because so I was listening to the Timcast IRL podcast yesterday, and they had one of the guys that helped to create Wikipedia, and they were talking about something that I had thought about but not really put much thought into. It was a digital ID, and I guess now that I've heard a little more in depth about it, I would see that we're going to be getting to a point where this will be a real thing. I don't know when it'll happen, but it is something that will inevitably occur because often with almost anything in general, just as technology evolves and societies become bigger, we create laws and rules to bureaucratize everything. We create ways of ensuring that people don't do this or do this, or that we can identify them in any sort of way. If you want to get a car, you have to have a license. If you want to buy liquor, you got to have a license. We have to be able to verify that said identification is actually real to begin with.
Part of it is trying to find that line where one person's freedoms end and another person's freedoms begin.
So I think very often in this day and age, at least, that we are saying, fuck where that freedom ends and let's just keep going and moving into where we care.
I think today's day and age is, fuck you, you don't have any freedoms.
That seems to be the message that I keep seeing because
I mean, I'm waiting for just random soldiers just like, hey, we're gonna stay in your home for a while because you know
that's against the law.
It's against the what is it, the Third Amendment?
It's one of them.
I believe it's the Third Amendment. I can't remember, But it's not like we have a constitution for the United States of America.
Well, a lot of what Veritas is doing makes me believe that there is hope.
Yeah, I won't share in that hope. The only besides, I fucking hate people anyways, and I'm just rooting for the overlords at this point. Whatever.
What's really funny about the digital ID is that I've heard Tim Pool expound upon this in many ways, but it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook has two types of profiles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Facebook
so
has
one that you create, and then one they
create.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know how many people actually are aware of this or even have the concept of the idea down, but I imagine not only Facebook, but Google does this, YouTube probably does this. A number of places do this. I know that I would do this in some capacity.
Now, here's the other thing. Here's the thing that nobody's talked about. You want to talk about nightmare fuel, right? Remember we talked before last podcast about that guy being visited for somebody replying to his tweet.
Absolutely.
What is to prevent Facebook, Twitter, Google, or any of these people to just grabbing pictures of you off the internet, creating a profile for you on their sites, and then using this profile, saying, "Oh, I'm going to kill this person. Oh, I'm going to blow this person up."
That is a step further in which this parallel world that we have has done. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
but there's nothing to prevent it.
But it's worse because people already have done that.
Well, yeah, I mean you have deepfakes and whatnot.
Not only do you have deepfakes, but you also have this, right? So, let's say you want to get yourself very established and that you're this respectable individual, even though you're really not. You might say, I have $10,000 at my disposal.
Right.
I can pay a bunch of people to create all of this literature about me, even go on and write an article or 5, get them published in some capacity, have references to these articles that say that I did these things or that I participated in something.
Which we see happen a lot.
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of people actually realize that.
But what I'm saying is that final step of, instead of having people do it, have the actual platforms, because this way
that's what I'm saying. I know platforms, corporations do this. The platforms are definitely doing this. They are almost certainly prepared for certain moments because a couple years back you saw the whole thing with Alex Jones. They all came together at the exact same time and depersoned him.
Yeah.
Okay. They've done it a number of times to a number of individuals who basically just talk about things that they don't want to hear.
Yep.
Okay. It's happening on YouTube all the time.
And again, I don't know why they're doing this. We've already seen that people aren't going to do shit. I mean, they might as well just put it all out front and center because nobody's going to do anything.
They've already established that they can deperson a president. Okay?
Yeah.
Not only did they take him off all the platforms, they also got a whole bunch of minor little shopping apps and shopping websites to stop it so that he could not purchase from them. They've done that to a number of other people since Donald Trump. Okay? James O'Keefe is just another individual who is high profile, who is not doing anything against the guidelines, but they're claiming that he's doing something against guidelines. It is beyond me that people can look at this and say, "Oh, they're a private corporation. It must be okay that they can do this." There is a different set of rules and laws that these corporations are functioning by that have nothing to do with the actual reality.
It's all about. It's all so like one of my terms I like to call people is the slottles, the someone lower on the list. So if you're someone lower on the list, yeah, sure, you'll be, like you look at all the news anchors like Rachel Maddow and whatnot. Yeah, sure, you'll be doing fine until we don't have a use for you. And then, looks like Rachel Maddow was a Russian agent all along, and who knew?
So that was one of my prevailing and still prevailing thought processes of any company I've ever worked for. Because I've heard a number of stories from friends and friends of friends who have talked about how they worked at certain jobs and they suddenly are no longer useful to the company, so they get rid of them on the most bullshit of bullshit charges, right?
Yeah.
So my brother had a friend and he was working for ShopRite. This guy was lifting DVDs and other things without getting caught. Okay, but I'm sure management suspected that he was doing something, but they couldn't catch him on it, right? So he showed up late to work a few times, and because New Jersey is an at-will employer, they can use that as justification to get rid of somebody.
Right.
Okay? So my thought process always when I get a job is, okay, I've got the job. I'm useful until I'm not useful. So from the day one, a company, in my opinion, is always looking for a way to fire someone if they need to.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole reason why they have an HR department, and that's just
Absolutely.
why when I went to back to college a few years ago, because why the fuck not? I would talk to people that want an HR degree. I told them I didn't hold back. I said that your purpose is to protect the corporation from workers' rights. That's
Until
it.
they're not good at their job enough of doing it, and then
Yeah.
they get replaced by another person who does it better.
That's why whenever I did work, I've never really had to worry about jobs so much because while most people when they were kids they were out partying, drinking, and whatnot, I was hitting the books, learning every other fucking thing I could, especially because I wasn't that bright as a student. I wasn't a good student and so forth. And now I can do just about anything. And when I get into a job, I'm I can do just about anything. So it's stupid to fire me.
Your problem is that you're too qualified. So
Yeah, I'm overqualified.
Yes, which is terrible. That's an excuse that someone could use to not hire you. But especially with ShopRite as the example. So you have someone that's working there for like 20 years, and then they decide that we want someone who's underqualified again, so that way we can pay them less money and get rid of someone who's too qualified. You've been here this many years and you haven't moved up into management. Let's get rid of you.
I remember
Nonsense.
I used to work for GE, and I'll do a little toot my own horn segment here. And we used to have like what was weekly or monthly? I think it was weekly calls. And after I left, I was listening on the weekly calls because I was with one of the guys I worked with, and she was yelling at the two guys that were working in my area to replace me. She's like, Charles brought in 1 year alone twice what it takes for us to pay both you guys, and you guys haven't even made enough to pay for one of you.
That's funny. So getting back to main topic, I find it very interesting as a hypothesis that the internet would be considered, because I truly think that it is a parallel world, because people don't behave the same in this place. They don't even respond. They don't even consider the fact that they might be doing something that would be illegal. And the companies or countries in this sense, to get rid of someone, they do what you would have done the day of medieval times, which is banishing someone, which is the depersoning of people. And they collude together, so it's almost as if they have their own world council that they can talk together.
Yeah, the tribunal of Facebook, Twitter, and Alphabet.
What's funny about that is I'm pretty certain they brought it up in a one of those little court sessions they had with all the senators questioning them. There is a way for you guys to talk to each other. There's an internal messaging system.
Yeah. I was watching. Oh, I'm sure some of our guys or employees run in the same circles, so of course they probably talk to one another.
Well, no, but they actually have a legitimate messaging system that is internal with Facebook that connects to Google or any of those.
Oh yeah, it looks on their servers or not their servers, but their platforms and whatnot.
So they're completely connected together, and I don't know how you can't hear that. And think to yourself,
how is this not unfair practices, unfair trade practices?
It doesn't seem like they're acting as separate organizations. It seems like they're acting as one organization that has separate parts to it. Mm-hmm. And I think they're all working together to make certain that they are the only ones that control.
Well, yeah, it's an oligopoly.
I mean, when Parler was,
or in this case, I guess you could say oligopsony. But
when Parler was rising in the trend, they shut it down.
Yeah, they're back up now.
Now, also interesting to me.
Well, hold on. Let me.
So go.
Let's go back a few years on this, right? This whole thought of the internet being another world, because there was a point when the internet was kind of this other world. You look at the rise of MMOs, right? You have like EVE Online, which is still big in it's still there in its community, and all the stories that come out of that are like really interesting.
Oh my god! When I read about the amount of money theoretically that had been lost because you can put real money into the game.
Oh, you're talking about the Great War that happened?
The two of them.
Yeah.
The amount of money that was thrown away for these I love it. I love it.
I mean, one of my favorite stories is the guy that decided to run a bank and then all of a sudden turned around and just hired a bunch of mercenaries, built a fortress, and said, okay, all this money's mine now.
So, it my hypothesis is not built upon just that. It is these MMOs and these online gameplays that make me believe that people themselves also.
Right, I mean, because like you look, that's why a lot of people well, not ran, but go into these MMOs, and even you have like these simulators and whatnot.
Sure.
You have like cooking simulators, you have car mechanic simulators. It's the ability to spend your spare time being something that you don't want to be, that doesn't have like pressures of jobs in it. And that's what attracted a lot of people to it in the first place. But now, it's all about get all your data, and everybody fight each other.
The world has gone from a place of enjoyment and freedom to one where the people who are in charge are like, we got to suddenly get control of what's going on because we have the ability to.
You know why I'm really angry, Greg?
Why?
Because I like being the hate-filled fuck, but now the entire world is just nothing but hate-filled fucks, and it pisses me off when people are moving in on my mojo.
They're allowed to.
Fuck them.
Well, nah.
Fuck you people.
It happens. So funnily enough, I think we're at sort of that precursor to that world that was described in Ready Player One.
I actually never saw that or read it, but
It's I can't remember what they called the world itself, but it's essentially it's a giant VR world, right?
Mhm.
But we're not at the stage of VR. I think we're at the stage right before we get to the massive VR portion.
yeah, the problem with VR is that it's gonna suck up a lot of bandwidth. I don't know how. I mean, maybe if gigahertz multiplexing becomes greater use, possibly, but the VR world is. Everybody connected through VR. I'm even talking about like the Matrix and everything being connected in that fashion with millions of people.
I mean, it's funny because with the Matrix, essentially all of those tiny people, and I say tiny in the sense that they don't really make an impact on the internet, but they are basically the energy that feeds the internet to keep it running. Okay, and without all those angry people who keep passing along a story that's
The
already
thumbpad
been
mafia.
Yes, the keyboard mafia.
Yeah.
Without them, they would not be able to run some of these websites. In fact, even Twitter itself doesn't really have. It doesn't make money, as far as I know, and they're losing money because their advertising model doesn't really go anywhere.
I don't know. Maybe if there weren't cases that against Twitter saying that they kept child porn on their site, maybe that might have something to do with it.
Maybe, or maybe it's a trash website that nobody uses except for those who think it's important to pay attention to other people. They'll pay attention to us.
That's the other thing, though, right? With the internet, is for porn.
I mean, that's what primarily the internet is for.
When I was working at this one data center, this one guy, he was like, I walked into the one of the rooms, and I looked at all the servers in there, and I just thought to myself, how much of this is porn?
So it's funny about that too. I mean, so when I think about the internet at a grand scale, really far away, there is no limit to how much freedom the internet actually has. Because theoretically, anybody can build up a server and start their own website and just try and get people to come to it. The capability of the internet is completely defined by the servers that run the websites themselves. So a poor server system won't be able to handle a lot of people on it.
Oh,
But,
and all the connections as well.
Unlike the planet Earth, where the only way we can really expand is to go out into outer space and figure out a way to survive and become,
Or build cities like Midgar.
Sure.
Have a Mako reactor.
Yeah. Eat the planet's core and turn it into tiny little orbs that you can use for powerful things. Like gravity.
Bahamut.
Exactly.
Or Doom. That one's already going around.
I'm just going to summon Knights of the Round Table. But, in reality, if we want to, because there's a lot of the world that isn't really explored, mostly the deep sea. And the upper atmospheres, we don't really spend a lot of time up there, except
Well,
when we're in a plane.
Yeah, I mean that's there's not much there except for a thin layer of air and some ozone
Yes,
and some of the
yes.
lighter chemicals that float up there.
But
A lot
if
of
we
water.
wanted to expand the world or create more spaces in the world, we would be hard pressed to find anywhere that isn't already under the control of another country,
Yeah, country, a corporation,
right?
something.
But on the internet, you could literally just buy the products you need to create your own server, to create a website. The
Right, and
problem,
that's like you had all that the property in Ultima Online going for insane amounts of money,
Mhm.
and then you have all the non fungible tokens, the NFTs, which is like
this is gonna be bullshit.
some guy selling his farts for $85. Just sound clips of his farts as a non fungible token, $85. Here you go.
The amount of consumerism in the internet space has gone above and beyond.
I mean,
I feel like the entire internet is just consumerism at some points.
yeah, I mean that's majority of what that's a majority of what everything is right now. It's just consumerism. There's not a whole lot of real jobs. It's all these really bullshit jobs just created to oppress people or just to
I don't know if
foster.
they're created to oppress people.
Well, no, I'm saying that's being one of the categories to either oppress people or to foster bullshit consumerism, like all these fucking bullshit holidays, right? We have one coming up right now.
Yes, yes. But that's basically the average citizen of this parallel world. Is they're there not to create, for the most part.
Or consume.
They're there to consume.
Yeah.
And as we've said before, I think in a previous episode, the amount that gets uploaded to YouTube is impossible to watch an entire lifetime in one day. And that happens every day of the year.
Yeah.
It is the amount of stuff that is just uploaded to any website in general, where people congregate, watching videos, reading stuff.
Any unlimited upload.
Absolutely. Which is crazy that there even are websites that allow us to do that because of the amount of cost to host all of the video and everything.
So back in the earlier days of the message boards, their solution was just to have a basically what acts as what's called a register. So the new piece of information comes in, the old piece of information cycles out. So it's
But there is a problem with that. Okay, the problem with that, just like with books, which deteriorate over time. Sometimes that information is important stuff. So if you get rid of old information, you lose a lot of stuff, and in the internet, everything is forever basically.
Yeah. Well, now.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand. I mean, you gotta love how things just get named. It's like, person, you got a thing named after you. Just like, like the Karen.
Sure. Until we come up with a new name, the Debbie.
Yeah, the Debbie. Well, no, see, the Debbie is a little bit different from the Karen. Because,
no, I get that, but
yeah,
that's a new name.
The Debbie is just all about, the psychotic behavior.
I don't enjoy hurting anybody. I don't like guns or bombs or electric chairs. But sometimes people just won't listen. And so I have to use persuasion.
Right? Because the Debbie the Debbie's like a shitty version of the honey badger. Debbie don't give a fuck.
Not at all. Not at all. But, sometimes drastic action has to be taken.
Yeah, to push your stupid ideas.
So,
nobody wants to hear.
The interesting thing about another interesting thing that I've seen a parallel with life in general right now is I was recently watching Westworld, the third season, which is just trash.
I've never seen the show.
The movie was good. The original movie was really good. Great classic film. The first season was really good because they had some really good concepts. I ultimately thought that the concepts were so good that after the first season, because they couldn't keep up with the how good those concepts were, they didn't really expand upon them in a way that made it more interesting. They just expanded upon it in a way that, okay, this is exactly where it was going. Now we're just going to make those things happen. There wasn't really new territory that was being explored. It was more of just the same territory being
Rehashed.
Yeah. In the third season, they got to the point where it was discovered that the entire world was being controlled by this supercomputer, which could predict exactly what would happen to every single person based upon their decisions, where they were born, all this blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like...
Sort of like Gattaca.
I don't think I've seen.
Gattaca's the movie where people had basically genetically engineered babies, and only the best ones were...
I did see this. I
Yeah.
did see. Is this the one where the brother...
The brother, yeah.
Yes, I did see... I forgot the name of that.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. I love at the end. You assume he's going off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know what happened to him, but you assume it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean that's the, you know, there's some movies I can talk about too, some recent movies, but we'll save that for another podcast.
Sure.
But I don't watch a lot of like newer media. I watch lately. I've been watching older Robert Bakshi movies. I think that's his name, Robert Bakshi. He did like Wizards, Fire and Ice, Coonskin, Hey There, Good Looking, and all this stuff. But yeah. So going back to our topic.
I can't get it out of my mind.
What?
Just the whole thing. It just seems like such a interest.
Oh, Gattaca?
No, the topic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's like the whole thing with. Here's another way of looking at it too, right? Because it's the idea of money, also, right? Mm-hmm. Money's not a real thing.
No, it isn't.
It's an intermediary used to help people assign value to different either things they do or things they produce, right? Or things they have or whatever. But the perception is that you want to have a whole lot of it, even though it's really just this imaginary thing. It's like,
I don't want to have a lot of it.
Well, I mean, many people, right? And that's like the whole. That's like one of the whole thing is like, it's been in society for a while, and get rich, and you should want to get rich, and blah blah blah. You know.
I think people lost sight of the actual game itself. The game of life was not, I need all the resources. It's, I need to learn how to best use the limited resources I actually have.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can go from being shitty person to slightly less shitty person.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, you know, and that comes back around to the internet, because how much do people rely on the internet for just about everything?
So I think Albert Einstein had a really good quote many years back where he talked about the fact that he was fearful for when the interactions in real life became less so because of a technology that have risen
Mm-hmm.
to supplant the interactions that people had with each other.
Right.
I can't remember the exact quote itself, but
I get the idea. Yeah.
we've already gotten to that point where technology is so overbearing on the average person to the point where they can't do anything without it, which is really sad. Because I try to view all my technology as tools to help me better do stuff in life.
Yeah, I mean, me, I don't take my phone out. I leave my cell phone on. Everybody hates me. Yeah, but fuck you guys. I don't want you to be able to reach me all the goddamn time.
That's why I don't answer my phone all the goddamn time.
Yeah, see, exactly. So I just leave my phone whenever I go out. I
think it's my reluctance to become attached to technology that has stopped me from becoming enamored with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of these crappy websites where the only purpose is to spend more time on the website. There is no reason to be on these websites other than to spend more time on the website. They don't care about
every
people.
little fucking detail about yourself, like you're the
You know,
you're the
our,
center of the world.
Our mutual acquaintance that lives in North, who's very annoying, right?
Uh-huh.
I keep trying to tell him that he should not broadcast every single goddamn thing he does. Okay,
Yeah,
I've asked him on multiple occasions to never put me into any of these things he's doing if we happen to do it together. Right? We used to go to the movies all the time when his I think 18.
And he would check in on Facebook and say, with Greg.
Yes. The most annoying thing. It's like, I don't need people knowing I'm at the movie theater watching some god-awful movie.
Yeah.
People don't need to know that. If someone is looking for me, they can use that as a means of finding me.
Yeah.
Okay? This is something I'm sure parents tell their, or at least I hope parents tell their children, is don't mention where you are.
No, they probably tell their children to mention where they are so that they can keep an eye on them.
They should be texting them that, which is still also monitored by some other entity that's high above you. It is called the phone company.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just astounding to me how people don't treat the internet as if it is real life. They treat it as if it's this separate plane of existence that they are protected from other people by the fact that
Well,
you're
I
at
mean, it's both really, right? Because there's and it's pick and choose based on convenience when it serves them, right? So in certain cases, the internet is real life, right? Like harassment and death threats online and all that
mean
bullshit.
nothing.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, words on a screen. I stopped giving a shit about what people would say about me on the internet all the way back in the days of BBSs. That's
What?
BBS, bulletin board services.
Oh, okay.
That's when you had a 1200 baud modem, and you dial up, and then you sit there and you wait a half hour. I got a boob. No, it was before all that.
Before that.
Yeah, when it was like, yeah, because that was a 56K. It's like, oh yeah, I got a boob. It only took a half hour. It's monochrome, but it's boob.
What's even funnier about that comparison is the fact that I'm still upset that it takes 2 seconds to load a page when it took minutes at a time. When I first got a computer that connected to the internet, my grandfather bought me and my brother for the family a computer so that way we would have one in the home.
Right.
And my father got us AOL, good old AOL. Can't forget about them. Pioneers of the internet and spending money doing it.
God, AOL.
But going online, trying to go to any of these lousy websites that I was using back in the day, I would never have conceived of a YouTube at that time. The fact that there was this website I could go to that I could watch almost anything. What's really sad about it is that the fact that you could watch almost anything, and yet people choose not to watch almost anything.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole the thing of convenience, right? Is like when you know, like I got 100 board games. I don't know which one I want to play. I got 50 pairs of shoes. I don't know which one I want to wear. It's analysis paralysis, choice. Too many choices, bullshit.
Well, that's one of those things I learned in sales. Don't present people with more than typically 3 choices because people are bad at making up their decisions. This is a proven fact. People are presented too many choices. They just cannot make up their mind at what they want, which is if you're in sales, this is a tip for you. Do not give people more than 3 choices. They will inevitably leave the store. They won't buy anything. Try and get them to only 3 things.
Yeah, because people, I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's just too much processing power or too much processing requirements because then you're trying to figure out all the possibilities and put them all together in your head, which is something we naturally do as machines.
Pattern machines and everything.
Yeah, machines, and it's just an interesting side effect. And I still don't fucking like it.
Yeah, it's part of our programming.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say programming. I would say more of just the natural tendency of the human as a biological machine. Right, so I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, I view the human psyche as being the operating system of the biological machine. So when I look at psychology, psychological effects, and causality, I look at it through the perspective of machine coding and biology and physics. When you talk about like quantum physics and how everything you get to that point, you're talking about percentages of how particles interact with one another. That's what a lot of it is. That's what being human is. It's you have this operating system that builds subroutines over time, and that's how the neural pathways in your brain connect as you age and experience things. And
I think people's processing systems completely change when they go online because there's suddenly you're going from interacting with things physically to interacting with things only mentally.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing. So, like, that actually brings up an interesting thought because the way to learn things is to involve as many of your senses in it as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why when you show something new, they're like, "Oh, let me see it," and they want to grab it, right?
Sure, they want to touch it.
They want to touch it because that tactile sensation helps them to understand and remember the item better.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a natural thing. I mean, people, don't really understand that. But that's the thing with the internet. It's a tactile sensation as well.
And yet, when you're using the internet, do you remember that you have a keyboard in front of you?
Me typically, yeah, because I have to move over to the keyboard.
No, I'm talking about when you're engrossed in the internet. You're deep into a session
Oh.
of being on the internet. Do you remember that there's a keyboard in front of you?
Well, I mean, it's not an active thought, but it's like driving a car, right?
That's my whole point.
Yeah.
So the internet is an extension of yourself, because people who become really good with driving cars, your car is basically an extension of yourself at that point. You're, if the car sways, sometimes you sway with it. If you're about to hit something and you slow down and you're like, ah! I see it with people playing video games all the time.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Like when I'm walking up to the edge and I'm trying to look down, I'll look up like this.
Exactly. So I feel strongly that the reason why people are so different on the internet, which is why I think that it's sort of its own other world itself, is because it only interacts really with the mind.
It's funny because I had to stop playing first-person 3D games while I was on my treadmills because I kept falling over.
Oh my god!
Because I'm turning around and then I'm just
you're getting to. This is another thing. People get so involved in the with the internet itself, as they lose track of the actual reality, what's happening with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen if we get to VR to the point where everyone imagines in the movies that it's like, or in the video games, or the animes and crap.
Or the Matrix.
Sure. Or the Matrix. Just remember to hook your tube up to the back of the head so that way you can feed the system energy.
Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?
I'll take the black pill.
I was just about to say that. Good one, Greg. Good one.
So that's another contributor to me as to why people behave that way, because you're really only interacting with your mind and your eyes, because you can't taste anything that's there, although your mind will make you believe that.
But you can smell your own farts.
Not if they're non-fungible tokens. Come on, man.
Well, yeah. Well,
if you see that
actually,
delicious...
no. You smell your own fart to create a non-fungible token.
So I've become very addicted to watching people making
You have an addiction
food,
problem?
making steaks particularly. And so I see the steaks being made on YouTube, and I'm like, oh my god, this steak looks good. But that makes me want to buy a steak. So I buy the steak and I cook it, and oh my god, the taste. If you cook it the right way.
I'm not a big steak person myself. I like chicken.
Really?
I like chicken mostly, but earlier today I decided to eat bacon, an Angus burger patty with cheese, and a chorizo.
Well, I'm hoping the burgers I bought are really, really good.
Oh, that was good. I want more bacon now. I can't survive without bacon.
Most good Jewish people can't survive without bacon either. What about a cheese to go with it to make it really awful?
Yeah, but when you look at the internet, I mean, and that's the one thing, getting back to what we were saying before, is it becomes harder. I mean, it becomes easier for you to just disregard other people on the internet, and because you're not looking at somebody, right?
Right. So if I see Falcon Punch number 324 as the username, I can assume something about them, that they know what Falcon Punch is. But if they make a comment I don't like, suddenly I get enraged, and I start becoming a keyboard warrior for some reason, so that way I can combat their rage with my own rage.
I like what Leona Kurzer does. She does angry typing, and she does like this.
I'm pushing one button at a time. You gotta touch a whole bunch.
I'm gonna ask her if I can get a soundbite of her saying that. just because it would be great.
We need more sound bites.
We do need more sound bites, but so and the thing is too is like the internet you get a lot of fear fostered
Sure.
between people, and you get that in the media.
People have
also.
latched on to the fact that fear is very profitable.
And see, for me, this is great because because people are easy to manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like people. I've never liked people, and it allows me to just get people to show how stupid they are in real life. Again, my appearance, of course you're probably going to say, yeah, you look like you had a brick smashed in your face when you were a kid. You would be wrong because it was concrete, but...
Isn't that also a brick? It's just a concrete brick? I don't believe you described what kind of brick it was.
It wasn't actually a brick either. It was the sidewalk. But...
It was a slab.
Yeah. And so, but my point is that, you see all this stuff going on through, like, the media and the internet. It's just easy to play off of that. It's easy for people like me to fuck with people in the real life, and I'll do it because I'm an asshole and I don't like you and you're most likely shit anyways. And I've been doing it for years. And, but the flip side is that you could take any action, and the internet's no different. You can take any action as one of two ways. You can make it as a comment on yourself or comment on the other person. So, like for me, right? Greg knows I always try to push people away. You can ask my ex-wife this. You can ask, I'll do whatever. I'll do all kinds of fucking bullshit to push people away. It's easier to do because of the internet. And all I have to really do most of the time, because I don't like to burn bridges. If I burn bridges, I burn them from the other side. I just like to give the other person the match and say, here you go. I don't like to push people through doors. I like to open all the doors and let people walk into the wall of spikes.
What about
or run
pulling the
headfirst?
rug out from underneath them?
Why? Why would I put the effort into doing that when I can just watch them do it on themselves and be so much
You
more
don't have to
amused?
put any effort into that. You ask someone else to do it for you.
No, I just like, and it's so much easier on the internet to just set up something and just let people show how shit they truly are.
Sure, that's often why I think it's hard to tell what people are actually really trying to say on the internet sometimes, just because unless you're dealing with a video and you can see the interactions of how people are doing it.
The body language, you can hear the inflections and the pauses.
That's why I think the internet is a much shittier reality than actual reality.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
and
like I said,
actual reality is pretty shitty.
Actual reality is pretty shitty. The church would have you believe that life is about suffering. And after almost 35 years, I believe them on that. The life is about suffering. And it's about how much less suffering I can make myself have.
I look at it...
I just don't believe in religion that much.
Yeah, but I look at it more from, what Kennedy said in his speech at whatever the fuck when he was talking about going to the moon. You choose to do things not because they're easy, because they're hard. Because in reality...
Not on the internet.
Yeah, not on the internet, but because you can't really build real strength out of what you do on the internet.
No, you can't. Well...
That's
not true.
Well, but I'm talking about in because it's a real tactile way. You do things like you can't work out on the internet. It's like, oh, I can make my guy lift more weight. No, I'll lift weights myself.
No, but I have been inspired by things that have happened on the internet to work out and do other things.
Right, but that makes you do things in the real world. But what I'm saying is that it's harder to take a worthwhile challenge using only the internet than it is to take a worthwhile challenge using only real life. Because
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that.
Okay.
I believe that the internet, you can take on a worthwhile challenge. Challenges revolve mostly around improving your mind or
Right.
Making a business that is exclusively through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly they're intellectual challenges when it comes to the internet.
Right.
You wouldn't ever have a physical challenge with the internet. It would
Right.
be something that might be challenged to you through the internet, but you wouldn't do it on the internet.
Right, but all those intellectual challenges you can do on the internet, you can do in real life as well. That's my
Yes,
point.
I get you on that, but I don't think the internet is gonna prevent you from having a challenge. What I think is that the internet.
No. Okay, so I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Let me. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. So let me say it this way: you have less options for worthwhile challenges on the internet than you do in real life.
That might be true, but there's certainly worthwhile challenges that you can have on the internet.
Yeah.
It doesn't engage with you in the same way as something like training for the Olympics would.
Right. Yeah, you can't do that on the internet.
It just engages less of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the internet makes it easier for you to not engage as much of yourself with anything that you do. It doesn't, not just challenges, but in general, it makes it easier for you not to have to engage. Okay? Because you can very easily, I assume this happens on Twitch, because I've seen a number of people, and people are very fake, especially on the internet. People just completely fake sometimes.
Yeah, that's the other thing about real life. It's easier to tell when somebody's full of shit.
Yes. So someone can say they've done something on the internet, and they totally haven't done it. They are just straight up lying for the purposes of the fact that they can say that they've done it. The internet makes it very easy for people to do very casual white lies that have no impact on them because they can just say it without having to worry about someone checking on them because the anonymity that the internet provides.
Anonymity.
And an enemy.
Let's see how many times we can say the word wrong because we're for it.
I could say it
Anonymity.
wrong as anonymity. Anonymity. Moving on.
Anonymity. There we go.
The internet lets you not be known to individuals very easily. You do not have to prove that you exist other than the fact that you're typing there. And they know that there's someone there. But they are not spying on you.
Oh,
unless
no.
you're the CIA and the...
Oh, just like that guy, like, oh, I see you got a lot of Steam achievements. I'm like, this is a worthwhile counter to my statement.
It's unlikely that someone you interact with on the internet is going to be able to use a camera that is installed on your laptop to spy on you and check to see that you're actually doing what you're saying you're doing.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for people to just give up or not do anything other than do stuff on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what people really want to do in the first place. They just want to, I believe, and never question anything. They just want to believe what they're told. They just want to do what they're told. Oh, this is a bad person. Okay, I'll believe that. Right? Never question anything. Serve your overlords well. Never question anything. That's the lesson for today.
I'd love to wrap things up with a mail segment.
Ooh, we got mail?
We did get mail.
Who the fuck is mailing us?
Uline, for one.
Oh. I don't know what a media company has.
We got this wonderful book of just...
Was that a propane tank?
Yes, this is a business supply book. So anything you could possibly need from cardboard boxes, of which I will be probably buying because I buy and sell Pokemon cards.
I got some over there, by the way, if you need some.
To strapping cards.
Ooh.
All the way to, you could even get...
Clothing!
Shirts! Great stuff. We got mystery mail.
So wait, that advertisement actually may pay off for them because you're gonna buy some shit.
Oh sure, I'm definitely gonna buy some stuff.
Okay.
I don't know how much specifically, but I will definitely buy something.
All right, because you know my stance on advertising,
which is
I love people spending money to send me information on shit I'm never gonna buy.
Oh sure. So this completely mysterious. We don't know who it's from.
Ooh,
I suspect it's a credit card. Progressive too. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Don't open it yet. Don't open it. We gotta get through this one first. We got
PayPal.
Oh, PayPal. See, I knew it was a credit card. Welcome to the new era of digital commerce. Signing up is quick and easy. Look at that. Accept payments, make payments, blah, 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 blah. This is great.
So we got Progressive here.
You gotta show them the envelope, man.
There's the envelope. And get the protection your business needs at every step.
Oh my gosh. They want to protect this apartment?
Progressive Commercial has the experience to protect you on your small business journey. Sure.
Ooh, 30 customizable coverage options. Oh, they got a hand giving money. Is that us giving them money?
I think so.
Oh my gosh. Well, enough of that.
That's the mail call. Nothing interesting. At least we didn't get any sent any anthrax.
Well, I gotta check our other mail spot because this was sent directly to my
Oh.
place. I gotta see if they got my key.
Oh,
Still haven't
and
got us a key yet.
you have a very interesting story about the mail place.
Which one?
About the signs.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell it.
So it just happened upon my my visit a number of weeks back to the mail office. I'm looking at the COVID mask signs, and on the front sign it says you cannot come in unless you wear a mask. But on the sign directly in the lobby, before you even get into the mail office itself, which is great that they have a lobby, because I'm like, why do they need a lobby? It says, we recommend you wear a mask before you enter.
Well,
it's very confusing messaging to me.
You know what the difference is, right? One was March of last year, and the other was April last year.
Maybe, but there is no discernible date on either one of these signs. And those signs have been there for quite some time. It's only now that I took the time to read the signs. Heaven forbid that I actually read a sign. I mean, why would I stop at a red light? What does a red light even mean?
I always thought they were suggestions.
That's what I took them as, too.
God, what was that movie?
That's why I always turn left at the intersection, not right.
I'm trying to remember. What the hell was the movie I got that line from? Fuck!
There's a bunch of movies that make that same line.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
One where the couple are getting married and the one father's a podiatrist and the other one's
That might have been the first movie to do it.
CIA agent or something like that. I won't remember
I
it.
think even Psych makes that reference.
Probably. Oh God, that was a funny series.
Great series.
Yeah.
2 good movies too.
I only saw the one.
They had the second movie came out I think 2 years ago, Lassie Come Home or something like that.
Oh no, yeah, I did see that. Okay. All right, so I guess that is it for our topic of the day. And since you've made it all the way through, we have decided that we're going to still torture you.
I hope you didn't like it.
Yeah, I hope you don't like what's to come because, that's what we do. So, go back to sleep, fuckers. Good night, fellow human. You'll wake up tomorrow to cause more destruction and bring much more sorrow. You'll go out and smile and pretend you are good. But once you get crossed, you'll don a black hood. You'll maim and you'll rend, all while you pretend that you are some kind of hero. You can't face the truth, and you'll stay aloof to the fact that you're a zero. You'll sit and stay glued to a spoon-feeding tube so that you can believe you're the best. You'll obey and be bribed by a campaigner's lies. All throughout the COVID Murder Fest. I hate you all.